Okay, so the first video is to just review the very first part, going back to the very first unit, characteristics of life and experimental design. So characteristics of life first, this one is purely just memorization. I would probably come up with some sort of acronym for these. I would mess around with the order, find something that works for you. Just run through them really quick. Cells, we've seen this with cell theory. All living things have to have at least one cell. Organization, we talked about at the very beginning, all different levels of structure, so going from the organism down to organ systems, to organs, to tissue, to cells, all those things all the way down. Energy utilization, we just learned the two processes. Cell respiration makes energy, photosynthesis makes glucose. Those two processes have to take place at some point, or at least one of them. Homeostasis, maintaining that internal balance. So we've talked about like shivering when you're cold, sweating when you're hot, other things your body does like regulate blood pH, glucose levels, all those types of things. Growth and development, you were all one cell, now you're trillions of cells. At some point you had to grow and develop. DNA reproduction, a lot of people split these two up. These are counted as the same thing. They have to have some sort of way to reproduce. Again, this isn't necessarily for the individual, but for the population as a whole. And then evolution adaptation is another population one. They have to have some sort of ability to evolve and adapt to their environment at some point, or else they will die out, probably. Then experimental design, running through this one quickly. We've talked a lot about this stuff. I think it's easiest at the very beginning to identify IV and DV first. So IV, what changes? You can think what I change. DV, what is measured? It depends on whatever this is. That was what we're going to be looking at. For problem statement, when you write it, the simplest way is just how does your IV affect the DV. Hypothesis, make sure you have in your if, then, because. So if I do this to the IV, then this will happen to the DV because whatever. For this one, don't ever say if we're doing an experiment on how does the type of food affect test scores, don't say something like, if I eat different food, then my test score will change, because that doesn't tell me anything. What type of food? How will it change? Be specific in that part. Constant, things that remain the same. I think you guys do pretty well on these. Those are pretty easy to pick out. Control is the one that I think most people struggle with. So the normal group or normal conditioned group, that's going to be things like if we're doing how does amount of exercise affect your reading level or something like that. It can be anything, but whatever your normal exercise level is, if it's 0, then your normal is 0. In those scenarios, I will tell you that the normal condition is this, or normally this happens, one of those types of things. So look for that normal, or what's the regular type of condition for that part. That's it for these. Again, you just have to be able to recognize these. I would probably know a little bit about like what it means, like what's homeostasis mean, that internal balance, know those types of things as well.